They say the ocean never forgets, and I tend to agree, you know? Every morning, I ease into the old rocking chair my grandfather built, coffee hot and bitter in my hand, gulls screaming like little thieves overhead, the Atlantic breeze all salt and cedar. My beachfront cabin is nothing fancy. One of those stubborn old places that refuses to get dressed up for anybody, with cedar siding gone silver from storms and a deck that creaks louder every year. But it's mine, completely, fiercely mine. And more importantly, it stood here long before Shoreline Vista ever dreamed up their pastel palaces. I inherited this cabin after my dad passed, and I've never changed it much. My grandfather raised it himself in the 50s, hurricane-hardened one-bedroom, wraparound porch, views worth $1 million before the world started saying so. The deed says private, with shoreline rights to the Titleline, and the original survey map sits in a fireproof box right next to my discharge papers and the old Mossberg. For 12 years, I watched the HOA across the dunes swell up like a tumor, plastic homes, forced smiles, newsletters that sound like invitations to a cult. At first, they left me alone, maybe because my place didn't fit the brochure. But last week, that changed. It started with a knock. Not polite, either. The kind you hear when someone already decided what's about to happen. I opened the door to find a woman who looked like she'd been poured out of a Brooks Brothers ad and topped off with a Botox commercial. "Mr. Carter," she says, already halfway onto my porch. "I'm Karen Brooks, president of Shoreline Vista HOA. Lovely place you have." I just stared at her, didn't say a word. She smiled that realtor smile, one you see right before a foreclosure. She slid me a glossy folder, color-coded, mission statements, HOA letterhead. At the back, an offer letter. $72,000, she says, like she's handing me a golden ticket. Generous, considering the age and limited utility of your lot. All cash. We'll handle teardown. I laughed. Real laughter, deep and honest, surprised myself. Handed it right back. You could offer $700,000 and I still wouldn't sell. This house has been in my family longer than your subdivision's been alive. Her smile twitched. I understand sentimentality, Mr. Carter, but you have to consider what's best for the community. I raised an eyebrow. I'm not in your community. Her lips thinned like she'd just sucked a lemon. She left her card. Just know we're moving forward with the beach club expansion. Your cooperation would save everyone a lot of time. The next morning, an envelope was taped to my gate, cream-colored, HOA seal, typed legalese that made my lawyer's sense tingle. Notice of required voluntary departure, 24 hours to vacate or face enforcement actions and consequences. No signature, just K. Brooks. I laughed, but this time it sounded colder. I poured myself a whiskey at noon, stared at the envelope a long while. It wasn't legal. It wasn't even close. But it was a threat, the kind bureaucrats make. Just enough fake authority to spook most folks. Problem is, I'm not most folks. I've been shot at in 3 countries. Built flood walls in towns with more goats than faucets. Karen Brooks didn't scare me. I knew this was just her opening move. The next morning, seagulls were quiet, like even they could sense trouble brewing. Out on the deck tightening a loose railing, I heard tires crunch on sand. Not the polite roll of FedEx. This was the crawl of people who think they own the dirt under them. Shoreline Vista Patrol SUV, 3 guys in polos, tactical belts. One had mirrored shades and a clipboard. They planted a sign right in my dune grass, Community Enforcement Zone. Another snapped pictures of my porch, my windows, like I was some kind of criminal. Clipboard guy told me I was on association-controlled property and had 1 day to vacate. I said, "You've got 10 seconds to get that sign out of my sand before I throw it in the ocean." He smirked. That would be destruction of association property. I yanked the sign out and tossed it on the porch. That's called garbage removal. The photographer muttered into his radio. "We can call the sheriff," Clipboard threatened. "Go ahead. Tell him you're trespassing on private coastal land while impersonating law enforcement." Their confidence cracked. They left, doors slamming like gunshots. I memorized their license plate. By the time the dust settled, my hands were already moving. Years of engineering teach you. Don't wait for the flood, build the levee. I hit the county land database. My deed, boundaries, unincorporated county, not HOA, not municipal. Called my attorney, Sandra Martinez, property rights specialist, tough as nails. 3 clowns in polo shirts, I told her. Sign, threats, Photos. She sighed, legally worthless. Document everything. I'll draft a cease and desist. And Landon? Keep your cool. They'll try to provoke you. I stared at the Mossberg. I'm cool. I'm just done playing nice. By sundown, I'd installed a steel chain and saw horses across my drive. Hung new no trespassing signs, even one with a rattlesnake that read, protected by Second Amendment. Half joke, half warning. Anyone who's served knows. Show your perimeter before you're forced to defend it. That night, I walked the dunes with a flashlight, checked every camera's line of sight. Out past the surf, lightning flickered, a storm rolling in. Heard footsteps in the brush, too small for the patrol goons, too fast to catch. Maybe a kid, maybe not. Either way, message sent. The next morning, sky iron gray, the kind that sits heavy on your chest, I was fixing the back door when I heard the tires again. Louder, heavier. White pickup with tools, and a trailer, black SUV right behind. Karen Brooks herself in the passenger seat, stainless tumbler in hand like she was off to a golf tournament. 6 people, Karen, 2 security clowns, 3 workers in gray coveralls. One already unloading a hydraulic toolkit, another with a crowbar, fanning out across my property like they owned the joint. I took my time, let them feel every step I made. The workers started prying at my storm grate. That's when I spoke up. You're trespassing. You're about 5 seconds from regretting it. Karen stepped forward, all syrupy sweet. Mr. Carter, you've ignored multiple requests to vacate a parcel that now falls under Shoreline Vista jurisdiction. We're here to reclaim it, peacefully. I looked at the tools, the muscle. By breaking and entering? She played innocent. No one's being violent. This is a community effort. You're making it difficult. I finished my coffee, set the mug down, stepped inside. When I came back, I wasn't holding anything, just slung my grandfather's Mossberg over my shoulder, casual as you please. Didn't name it, just let it rest. The workers froze. Karen's voice went shrill. You are threatening community members with a firearm. I shook my head, calm as a monk. I'm standing on my own porch, holding a legal weapon on private land. You're trespassing. She hissed at her security guy. Call the police. I was already dialing. 911. This is Landon Carter. I'm reporting an attempted illegal entry onto private property coordinated by a non-governmental association. I have security footage. No, I have not pointed a weapon at anyone. Yes, they are here now. As I spoke, the guy with the hydraulic tool backed up, muttering, "This ain't worth it." The others followed. Karen's confidence fizzled. County deputies showed up, didn't draw weapons, didn't take sides. Karen spun her tail, mascara trembling. I showed the deputies everything. The footage, the deed, the unsigned eviction, Sandra's statement. Deputies told Karen to leave, said, "This property is out of HOA jurisdiction. Don't come back here without a court order." Karen looked like she wanted to spit nails, but instead stormed back to her SUV. Her crew peeled out. I stood on the porch, shotgun resting in my arm, breathing in the silence. But I knew better than to think this was over. Karen Brooks didn't quit. 3 days of silence. No SUVs. No threats, just gulls and salt air. I didn't trust it. Sure enough, Thursday morning, a courier in a rumpled blazer served me 2 envelopes. One from the HOA, one from some guy named Douglas Reed. Reed's letter claimed I'd sold him my beach cabin for $45,000, complete with a forged signature and a notary who'd been dead 2 years. HOA's letter accused me of brandishing a weapon and intimidating authorized agents. All garbage. Bad forgeries, desperate moves. I called Sandra. She brought in a forensic document examiner, property investigator, a clerk's office contact. This is fraud, wire fraud, attempted property theft, maybe racketeering, she said. And guess what? Douglas Reed was a proxy for a shell company that signed a contract with Shoreline Vista before any sale. Premeditated. We filed a restraining order, blocked any transfer of title. County records still showed me as owner, but it was close. The next mail? A bill from the HOA for $9,400, community infrastructure contribution. A week later, a debt recovery agency threatened my credit score over unpaid dues for an HOA I'd never joined. Another forged document, another fake signature. Sandra laughed so hard, she almost spit coffee. They're trying to bury you in fake debts to discredit your claim if you challenge the sale. We're going to look very, very close. By week's end, We'd filed complaints with the State Bar, DA's office, Real Estate Fraud Division. Sandra sent everything to a trusted local reporter. Off the record, for now. We were building a case, and I could feel it. The tide was rising. Digging through old HOA proposals, we found the wedge. Karen had filed a temporary boundary expansion during the pandemic, overlapping my property, never finalized, but used as leverage. Sandra grinned. This proves she knew your land wasn't theirs. She tried to sneak it in. Then I found evidence that another homeowner, Earl Gentry, a Navy vet, died in hospice. Had his signature forged on a transfer after he was too sick to hold a pen. It wasn't just me. Sandra called in a contact from the state prosecutor's office. We laid our trap. Meanwhile, I upgraded my defenses, motion lights, cameras, legal notices on the porch. And then, as if on cue, a reporter came around, nose for a story about forged property transfers, HOA threats. I gave him the facts. That night, Karen tried again, claimed my new floodlights violated visual standards, threatened me with $1,800 a day fines. It was desperate, and I knew plenty of folks, older, alone, new to the country, would have caved. But not me. One morning, a woman in a charcoal suit pulled up, flashed state prosecutor credentials, Agent Clara Rhodes. She'd read everything Sandra sent, but wanted to hear the pressure, the patterns, the real story. So I told her. By that afternoon, the local news broke the story wide open. Coastal HOA accused of land fraud, forgery, unauthorized taxation. Then regional affiliates picked it up. Stories poured in, retirees, families, all hit by Shoreline Vista's dirty tricks. Karen's name was everywhere. A judge granted an injunction, froze all HOA actions, issued subpoenas. Reed caved instantly, traded emails, call logs, voice recordings for immunity. Karen's playbook spilled out. Template affidavits, instructions on how to age forged documents, step-by-step land grabs. One email. If we don't move on Carter's cabin now, we lose the expansion. Swamp him with enough pressure, he'll cave or get discredited. Sandra sent me that one. I framed it. Wednesday morning, 8 a.m., Karen Brooks was arrested. Pastel cardigan, file folder hiding her face, handcuffs, news crews waiting. Multiple counts, forgery, wire fraud, conspiracy, criminal trespass, and more. Her bail set sky high. The HOA board scattered. County DA announced a task force to audit every coastal HOA. People were furious. For me, for everyone who'd suffered in silence. I stayed put. Same porch, fresh coffee, shotgun back in the closet. Karen even sent another fine after the injunction. I sent it straight to Clara and laughed. But it wasn't about her anymore. It was about what the law did back. Courtrooms have a smell. Old wood, burnt coffee, nerves. I sat in my Navy jacket, watching Karen try to act in control. Cracked when the prosecution dropped video of her dictating forged parcel numbers. Jury took less than 2 hours. Guilty on 7 felonies. Judge gave her 10 years, no parole for at least 4. Her cronies got probation, banned from serving on any board again. HOA dissolved by court order. My civil suit, $760,000 in damages. Weeks later, I built a small wooden pier, bolted a hand-carved plaque on the end, private, and always will be. A local reporter asked if I had anything else to say. I just smiled and said, check the property lines, pal. And maybe the ocean does forget after all, just not before it drags the truth back to shore. So now, tell me, was I right to stand my ground, or did I go too far? Who really gets to decide where the line is, and what happens when someone tries to erase it? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Let's talk about justice, about home, about what it really means to belong.